This Atlantic article by a Stanford student was fascinating. It was published just the last couple of days. And the young woman writes, "What outsiders might not understand is that, at least in my experience, the appeal of conservatism on campus today isn't really about Donald Trump or Trumpism or any other set of ideological beliefs. At the level of national politics, the GOP is full of Trump loyalists who refuse to break from the party line, even as some of Trump's prominent followers outside government have broken with him on certain issues. But at Stanford, the conservative culture was full of diversity and contradiction." And this actually was in my head as I saw Tucker Carlson drop like a 2+ hour episode with Nick Fuentes just like an hour or so ago. And I wanted to run this clip by you, Andrew, of Nick Fuentes talking about how he has this sort of claim to being marginalized. He's trying to tell the story about how he's been marginalized by the institutional right. And at one point had a sort of infamous brush up with Marjorie Taylor Greene. So let's go ahead and roll this clip. It's S10.
So it sounds like your, not to put words in your mouth, but your life experience has left you so stung by the Republican establishment. You don't trust anybody, it sounds like.
Well, no, I mean, these people attacked me when the rules were different, and now they got better, and now I'm good with them. I mean, I'm willing to be good with them, but I think that I don't know if Marjorie still has a problem with me or not.
So the reason I'm connecting points A and B here, Andrew, I'm curious what you think, is just this will manifest, this institutional distrust will manifest in some ways that are healthy, and it will manifest in some ways that are unhealthy. And that strikes me as something people still don't understand about the Trump era and the kind of young right. It's not sort of like institutional country club, Alex P. Keaton, young conservatives. It's some of that, and then it's some of something else.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing that you have to be careful about is there's going to be a reaction. The left has been oppressive. They've been insulting. They've insulted people's religion. They've insulted people's nation. They've insulted people's values. You've tried to turn morality on its head. They brought pornography into elementary schools. And then when people tried to force it out, they set the FBI on them. And they call us, they say, oh, they're just waging a culture war, but it's only a culture war once we start to fight it. So listen, if you are a wise person and a person who's contained within yourself and a person whose values grow up from within yourself and from within the things you know, you don't react to them. You simply defeat them. And I think that's what we've done. I think we actually have broken their stranglehold on parts of the culture and have an opportunity to take the culture back. We're not going to be able to do it with people like Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes. I think Tucker, having Nick on and just sitting there credulously, as he always does with right-wingers who hate Jews, he always just sits there credulously and sort of believes every tale of oppression and exclusion that they tell. But Nick, who I don't hate Nick in any way. I mean, I think he's an intelligent guy. I think he could be a better man than he is. But he sits there and says that he is called anti-Semitic for criticizing Israel. But he's called anti-Semitic because he doesn't like Jews. I mean, I don't care. Israel is nothing to me. I don't come from there. I don't have any people there. I don't have anything. That's not a place that matters to me except as an American ally. But this is a guy who said Jews should leave the country because they're not one of us. He's a guy who said that segregation, black segregation in the South, which was an insult to American values down to the ground. He said it was good for them, meaning black people, and good for us. This is a guy who has spouted a lot of anti-Semitic rhetoric over the years. And then when people say, that's kind of ugly and hateful and stupid, he's like, what? I can't criticize Israel? You can criticize Israel all you want, but hating people who are, in fact, a very important part of this country and great contributors to the good of this country over the years, that I think is despicable and it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I think that I don't know what happened to Tucker Carlson. I really don't know. He was great on Fox. There were days when he was great on Fox. The stuff that he's been saying, hosting, again, credulously, a history hobbyist who says the Holocaust was was a mercy killing. Hitler just took too many prisoners and he didn't want them to starve painfully to death, so he did them the favor of gassing them by the millions. It's just not true. Those things aren't true. It's not true that we bombed Nagasaki because Christians live there. It's like those things are not historically true. And so this is a part of the right that is enticing to young men who feel that they have been penalized for being penile, for being men. Sorry, but I mean, I couldn't help myself. But they have been called toxic. Their manhood has been looked down upon. They're told that they should step out of the way and let women do the jobs that men should really be doing. And I don't blame them for being angry. I'm a little startled when I find out how angry they are. I don't blame them. So the way this works is really simple. Talking about hating the Jews as if they were this powerful people, and they are, and in some ways they are powerful people, but hating them for your failures gives you a sense of strength. Emily, it is always a sign of the devil at work when somebody offers you strength that makes you weak. It's always, just take this heroin, you're going to feel great. Just watch this porn, you're going to be tough. Just hate women, things are going to go great for you. And that's what they do with the Jews. And I think that when you think it through, what we're having now is this kind of debate within the right, is do we still believe in the republic that was handed down to us from the founders? Do we still believe in that? Or are we in a post-liberal world where guys like Hitler made some kind of sense, where strong men, will get rid of all these enemies that we have, these leftists? And that's the debate. And young men are being told that the strong way forward is kind of a fascist way forward. It's the Hitlerian, hate the Jews, hey, don't listen to any of this, love your neighbor stuff. Don't listen to anybody who doesn't have the same religion as you or anything like that. But that's actually the action of a weak man. If you think about it, in a fascist state, there's only one Führer. Everybody else is a toady. Everybody else is like, oh, please, sir, yes, sir, no, sir. That's what you do when you have a Führer. That's the way it works. When you live in a republic and each man is free, then each man can learn to be a man. And, I'm a person who considers myself every bit as good as that guy in the highest office in the country. I'm not afraid of Donald Trump. I'm not afraid of anybody because I grew up an American and I know that I'm as good as any man out there. And so that is the harder lesson that people like me and other commentators are trying to teach young men, that it's not through hating women, it's not through degrading women, it's not by hating Jews, it's not by hating blacks that you become a man. It's by feeling within yourself that you have the strength and the courage to be as good as any man and to look any other man in the eye and say, I am equal to you. I'm not equal to LeBron James on the basketball court, but before God, I am equal to LeBron James or any other guy. And that's the mode of a republic. And only a republic gives you that power, that individual manhood power. So the thing is, guys like Nick Fuentes are selling you a bill of goods. They're selling you this idea that if you hate, people who you feel are more powerful than you, that will somehow make you powerful. If you go online and say, you can just hear the weakness in their voice. They say, silence Jew. They'll tweet things like that. You think like, you're a pansy. Anybody who says that is just, a Nancy boy sitting in his mother's basement pretending to be a king. And so I really think that in this fight, the people who believe in the republic, the people who believe in the founding, because that's where I think the dividing line is. It's people who are for the founding and people who are against the founding. And the left is against the founding, and some of these people on the far right are against the founding too. But I believe in the founding, and I believe that's the way forward for men. That's like what real manhood is saying, you know what? I don't want the government to give me anything. I'm going to build a business. I'm going to build a life. I'm going to work. I'm going to support a wife. I'm going to support kids. I'm going to do the things that men do that make them actually strong instead of making them feel strong for 10 minutes and then while they crawl back under their mother's bed. And I just think when I watch, again, I don't know what happened to Tucker. I don't know why he does it. Some people say it's because he's getting money from Qatar. Some people say this is the way he's always been underneath. I don't know why he's hosting Nick Fuentes, and don't tell me it's just because he's not going to can't indulge in cancel culture. He only hosts people who say this. When he brings people on, he tries to entice them into attacking Jews. It's something has gone terribly, terribly wrong on this little corner of the right, and they are fighting. this battle against the left was won by the Daily Wire, by Joe Rogan, by Megyn Kelly. It wasn't won by these guys. And now they're sort of trying to sneak in and, grab the victory away. I don't think they're going to do it. America has always thrown up haters like this, and they've always hit a brick wall because of American decency and American freedom. We don't want to give up our freedom. We don't want a Führer. We don't want people, telling us that the guy next door, who's my pal, can't live here because he's black or he's Jewish. That's not what Americans have been about over time. And so we'll see if that's still true. We'll find out. But I'm not going to be shy about saying that these guys are wrong. They're just wrong. And they say things that aren't true. Their history is wrong. It's just not true. And it cannot be that every historian on earth says one thing, and Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes, they've got the secret. They've got the secret source of what really happened 80 years ago. And they're going to tell us the real truth now. That just doesn't make any sense. So look, this is a battle between truth and lies. I think every movement has to fight it at all times. The left is far more dangerous than these guys are, because these guys are going to lose in the long run. So I want to focus on the left, and I don't want to be turned away into this. But since you bring it up, I just want to be really clear about where I stand on it. Yeah.
No, I think that's fair. We would need another couple of hours to debate Tucker probably. But that, because I'm much more, I think, sympathetic. But in this case with Fuentes, it's such a difficult balance to strike, because on the one hand, yes, white men have been the victims of a campaign, a racist and sexist campaign by the left. On the other hand, victim mentality, even when well predicated, is heroin, to your point, Andrew. And it's just I'm curious, and this will be my last question on it, because I think it is so important for people on the right to focus on the left, because the left is focused on the right, and there are way more of them in positions of power in the media. But just on this last question, because we're both conservative, I wonder how to reach people, the many people who are listening to Fuentes, a lot of whom I think are doing it for the entertainment value, and maybe not for the ideology, but people who are sort of seduced by this without also alienating them and saying, well, you're just being a loser, whatever, mouth breather. That's my term of, I tend to favor that term, but it's a tough balance to strike.
Well, it's the same thing with Fuentes and Andrew Tate. After you've been abused by women, after women have told you you're toxic, after the whole culture has told you that women should be in charge, to have a guy like Andrew Tate come along and say, you can abuse women, and you can use them, and you can beat them, and you can do all these things to them. Guys feel like, yes, this is giving me strength, and he's like a big guy, and can be fun, like Fuentes and Tucker. Sometimes he can be funny and witty and all this stuff. But my question is this. If your philosophy is a reaction to the way you've been treated, who's in charge of you? Well, the people that you're reacting to. They're the ones that are in charge of you. They're the ones who have control over you. So if you get so angry at women that your whole philosophy of life is that you're going to treat women badly, it's women who are controlling you. And in fact, the answer to that is, listen, I grew up in one of the first flowerings of feminism. I ignored it. I just thought I'm going to open doors for women. I had women in New York stop dead on the street and yell at me while I was opening a door. And I would say, hey, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. You don't have to walk through the door. I found myself a great wife who's like taking care of me for 50 years. I just thought, go ahead, knock yourselves out, do what, ruin your lives. I don't care. It's not my life. I'm going to live my life the way it is. That to me is what men do. What men do is they forge a path for themselves out of their own values. And so I think that you're right. I don't want to say to these guys, you're mouth breathers, you're stupid. I agree, they've been abused, but you have to marshal that inner strength to just say, go ahead and abuse me and see if you can stop me. That's the question. The question is not whether you abuse me, it's whether you can stop me. And like I said, I've been in one of the toughest professions there is: show business, entertainment, publishing. Toughest business in the world to succeed at. I've succeeded at it for 40 years, I guess. And I think you do that by just saying, these are my values. This is what motivates me. I'm not bending. I'm walking my path. And I think that that's what we have to teach young men. We have to teach them, look, there are plenty of fantastic women in the world. It's if you're getting your idea of women from, stop. No, if you're getting your idea of women from activists, if you're getting your idea of blacks from activists, you don't know any black people or women. It's like that's not who those people are. It's not who anybody. The activists don't represent anybody except this little sliver of the left that has taken control of the Democrat Party. So it's a question of teaching independence and strength. And self-reliance, and all of which are synonyms for manhood.
Have you ever noticed those very creepy ads that pop up on your phone and seem to know exactly where you've been, what you've bought, even what you've been talking about? You've probably asked yourself, is my phone monitoring me? The truth is your smartphone is constantly collecting and leaking data without your knowledge or consent. Every day it builds a detailed profile of your life, your location, your habits, your interests, even the people with whom you communicate. That information is, of course, then funneled into an invisible marketplace where it's tracked, analyzed, and sold to the highest bidder, which, by the way, could include the government. It's not just annoying, it's invasive, and it's happening all the time. But the UP phone, the Up phone by Unplugged, is different. It's designed to protect your privacy from the ground up. No hidden trackers, no data mining, just a secure, streamlined smartphone experience that puts you back in control, whether you're texting, browsing, or using apps. The Up phone ensures your personal information stays personal. It's the phone for people who are done being watched, ready to take back your digital privacy. Visit unplugged.com/Emily and get $25 off a phone case with a purchase of a phone. Learn more and order your Up phone, UP phone today. That's unplugged.com/Emily, because your life should be yours and not theirs.